Oh, I can breathe a sigh of relief, guys. Some positivity, some breathe it in, some positivity back in our bloodstream, back in our lungs. A bit of positivity, but some positive vibes, because that's what 3 points does for you. And that's what we needed. That's Kivu's debut, by the way, in the Champions League. So his first ever Champions League game away at Ajax's former team. So fantastic result. And in the end, there was, in the first half, some moments of difficulty, definitely. Probably about 20, 30 minutes where Ajax did put some pressure on us. The crowd got going. But in the end, very well managed performance, very professionally managed. And clean sheet. Clean sheet. We didn't concede a goal, guys. Come on. That's probably the biggest result. I predicted a 2-1, but my ideal result in my head was this, a 2-0 victory. And yeah, I'm happy, man. I am happy. I know the lineup and things. I can see your comments, and I'll get to all you guys' comments. They are about the lineup and some of the decisions that Kivu made. Very conservative, maybe boring, maybe very Inzaghi-like in some aspects. It seems like deja vu, really, with Kivu at the moment. We're seeing the exact same lineups that we would see probably with Simone. But at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter too much. You can see there we didn't really create much. It wasn't a great champagne football type of performance in terms of XG. I think most of Ajax's XG came from that one massive chance that Jan Sommer saved, and of course, there's a few positives to talk about today, and Jan Sommer is one of them for sure. But before we get into everything, guys, I'm going to be on for about half an hour. I know I always say that, so let's see if I can actually keep to it. But before we get into it, you know what to do, and Mattia always reminds you in the comments, because he is a top man. Hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you're new. But let's get into it. What are the positives from today? As Matteo says, one of the positives is Hakan is looking like he's coming back to his best. Juve wasn't the perfect game. We know there was some, maybe issues, mistakes here and there off the ball or defensively, but 2 amazing goals that, can't take away from him. Today, another assist or 2 more assists off a corner. But in general, he just looks sharper, he looks fitter. Off the ball, on the ball, he looks like, I wouldn't say the Hakan is back, but as Matteo says, it looks like he's coming back. So as we said, top players, if they're out of form, like Hakan, what can you do is usually you just keep playing them, and eventually they play back themselves into form. Then, of course, the other massive positive from today is, of course, Marcus Tikus Thuram, who is becoming an absolute beast in the air, a beast. Look at he's in a stratosphere on his own, in a world of his own, in a galaxy of his own here. I think Klaassen is the only one that's trying to jump near him. But Thuram has the power, the athleticism, and also the ability now, and the hunger, the cynicism to score these, because we know he has this. We know he has the physique for it. We know he has the athleticism for it. We know he has the movement for it. And we know that his dad makes fun of him for it. So bullying works. Thank you, Lilian Thuram. Bullying works, because your son now, Marcus, and your other son, Kefren, because he scored on us with the header, but Marcus is becoming a beast in the air, which is literally one of the last few things that was missing from Thuram's repertoire as a total striker. So he's got hold up play. We know that. Obviously, he's got the dribbling and the speed running in behind. Finishing, that still probably needs work, but in terms of like when he's fresh, like first half of the season, Thuram usually his finishing is on point, and then when he starts to run out of juice, and in the second half of last season, it just seems like he just didn't even shoot. But yeah, heading, being how tall he is, 6'1", 6'2", with his athleticism, that was like one missing piece of his game, and now he's completing that. Stefan de Vrij. If Marcus Thuram isn't man of the match, I would give it to Stefan de Vrij. Fantastic performance stepping in for Acerbi. And then Pio Esposito. Pio Esposito was a big positive for me today as well. first half was a little bit more difficult for him, but second half he really stepped up. And again, he just always looks like he doesn't look like a youth player, Piers Posda, which is the biggest compliment you can pay to a young player. But anyway, let me get into some of your comments before we dive into the screenshots and the game analysis and stuff. Let me see. Let me go right back to the top. Yeah, Thuram, one of the most criticized. But I think the only criticism for Thuram was really the celebration, or like the stuff that he did with his brother, which you guys, if you saw my video the other day, to me it was all nonsense. So to me, yeah, like if you want to get Thuram out of this team, like just like last season, this team in the first half of last season, it was Thuram carrying the team, and it has resumed once again because today Lautaro was missing, and Lautaro was missing also in the Juve game. So first half of the season, again, it looks like Marcus Thuram is the leader of this team, not Mr. Capitano, Mr. 9 million net for now. So if you want to, I saw some people saying, "Oh, get Thuram out. This is not the mentality we want to Inter, smiling with his brother." If you get Thuram out, this Inter team, man, we are in big trouble. Big trouble. Yeah, Luis Enrique looks like he's in the Chivu gulag, just like some players used to be in the Inzaghi gulag. At the moment, looks like Chivu does not rate Luis Enrique at all, and also Andy Juve. So they've got some work to do in training to convince our coach. Hope this, yeah, Salem, hope, yeah, definitely these 3 points will be a breath of fresh air for all the guys. Hopefully give them confidence going into what is our bogey team. We know Sassuolo is the bogey team of all bogey teams. So Inter, Marvel Lawson is one of those guys that's a little bit disappointed with Chivu in terms of, yeah, the very safe lineup choices. I mean, let's take a look at some of those. What he means by that, of course, he means Mkhitaryan starting the predicted lineups, all the different versions of the predicted lineups until today had Sucic starting, but in the end, hand on shoulder meme, Mkhitaryan smiling at you, starts once again the inevitable, the undefeated, the unmovable object that is Henrik Mkhitaryan. I think that really is there. I don't think anyone has any issue with the other. Oh, actually, obviously, Zoma, the big Zoma decision from Chivu, who in the pre-match press conference said, "Who said I'm changing the goalkeeper? Who said I'm going to bench the goalkeeper?" Just because the crowd, he said, literally said, "I'm not going to bench the goalkeeper because the crowd wants me to." So he knows the social reaction, the whole criticism on Jan Zoma post Juventus. He knows, he's read it, he's seen it, but he's chose to back Jan Zoma. And Jan Zoma today came up clutch. And this is the way you answer, just like Hakan answered all the criticism against Juventus with his 2 amazing goals. This is what big players do. This is what big personalities, top players do. And this is what Jan Zoma still is. You know, I think we still, as Inter fans, I think we still want the decision. We know, we saw what happened with Handanovic. What we're trying to avoid is that the point of where the decision is too late, or has already cost us too many points, or has cost us a title, or a Coppa Italia, or a qualification to the next round of the Champions League because of the lack of decision. And for the long term, where Jan Zomer's contract and in age-wise, he is not going to be here as long in theory as Pep Martinez. So what we're trying to allude to is that we don't want the Handanovic 2.0 to happen with Jan Zomer, and for him to leave with his head held high. But yeah, today he silenced the critics, silenced myself, silenced a lot of the people that said he should be benched, and bounce back. Whether this is long term, whether this is going to be a bounce back for the rest of the season, we'll have to see. But fair play to him. That's all you can do, right? As a professional, as a top level footballer. Salman says happy for the 3 points, but Ajax weak. Pio worked hard. Zielinski looks more lively, not just tonight, but this year in general. Yeah, I mean, he did say, Zielinski, right, that Inter fans, you're going to see peak Zielinski. That was his exact words, that Inter fans will see peak Zielinski this year. So hopefully he is right on that, Salman. solid and control Sun Tzu. Yeah, I like that approach. And then thank you very much to Eduardito Hernandez, who is always supporting the channel and is of course also a channel member. Thank you, bro. Class man of the match. That win was really needed. I mean, I didn't even notice Klaassen did this game. Like, how many balls did he even touch? 21 passes out of 20. Yeah, I barely noticed him apart from when he got out jumped by Thuram for the goal. And in a couple of instances, I saw him, smiling and having a little bit of banter with some of the guys. At the beginning of the game, he was doing the exchange of the emblems with Barella as the two captains. But apart from that, I didn't notice Klaassen. But yeah, as we said before the game, the fact that Klaassen is a starter for this Ajax team and is the captain, it kind of says a lot about where Ajax are right now. With all due respect to Klaassen, it says a lot that Klaassen is a starter, Weghorst is a starter in this team. But in the end, Ajax didn't make a good game of it. They gave us some issues, but we did what was needed. Yeah, 100%. Marshall, De Vrij played very, very well. Yeah, Klaas's marking on both goals, secret agent. Yeah, in the end, Gabri, the lineup wasn't as rotated, but still took care of business. But if you remember how we took care of business last season as well, it wasn't particularly impressive last season in the Champions League, right? I don't think one Champions League game where we played really well. Maybe the one where we won 4-0 against the Red Star Belgrade, but then the level of the team was really the lowest of the teams that we faced. But all the Champions League games last season, the Arsenal game, the Man City game was good in general because it was Man City, but then our Leipzig game was decent. Feyenoord, the Monaco, we went into the actual knockout, the Monaco one, or was that just the one just before the knockout? There was barely any real convincing Champions League performances last season, but it got the job done. And then again today, the guys that were out there, they got the job done. And yeah, I agree with you, Massimo. Pio, De Vrij, Thuram, Hakan, those are the four that deserve a shout, plus Zoma for the one thing that he needed to do. Yeah, finally a 2 a.m. early wake up. That was worth it, Kifni. Well, shout out to you and you guys in Asia that do that. Lautaro looked really pissed throughout the game. Nobody was happy on that bench. Yeah, I mean, apparently Lautaro was kind of rested / precautionary. He had some back pain or back issues, apparently. I don't know if he was already suffering that in the Juve game, so maybe he shouldn't have even partaken in that game because he was pretty much non-existent in the Juve game. But yeah, it did look like a very unhappy bench today. So which is good. You don't want to be happy to be on the bench. So yeah, hopefully nothing serious for Lautaro though. As much as he was anonymous against Juve, of course we need our Capitano back to his best. Akanji played a good game as well. Yeah, I agree. No, there was one moment where he played a silly pass, but apart from that, pretty much a spotless game this time around from Akanji, who we know had some faults in the Juve loss. Ian Kerr in the house, Kerr Mafia, thank you for coming through. Charles Shams, good to get a win. Pio covered him the most distance for us tonight, just under 12 kilometers, which is good. Wow, that is very impressive for his size. Wow, that is very, very impressive. Let me see if I can actually bring up those stats here, because usually UEFA post those, right? Ian, let me see if I can load those up. But yeah, the fact that Pio covered the most distance for a guy that size, that says a lot, because usually it's either the centre backs or the centre midfielders that do the most running. Let me see. Anyway, would have been good to see who the kilometers covered were. Language Stores, what's up, brother? Hope you're doing well. Debbie Kerr in the house as well. Thank you very much for coming through. But yeah, let's get into that was the only one, literally, and that was the last game, right, Otlo? The last game of our group stage was against Monaco, and that was the only real performance that I could say, and that was, Monaco got it was an early yellow card or a red card even. We got early penalty, if I remember correctly. So that was a big, thing that affected that game. And that was, of course, the game where Mkhitaryan said the injokabili, the unplayable comment that haunted us throughout the season. There you go, Stefan, just to confirm what I was just saying. We were classing it. Oh, God. Lord Gags, who's actually Hellas Verona now. He's found a club. Well done, Nick Knox. He managed to find himself a club finally. And then he got injured. I think 20 minutes into his debut for Hellas Verona, he got injured. That guy is absolutely finished. But yeah, only one guy in the world that would mention Lord Gags, and that is, of course, our Lord Nick Knox. But yeah, let me get back into some of the kind of the highlights of the game. Just regardless of age or size, like strikers in general don't usually cover that much distance. It shows you how hard Pio worked, and that's what I love about Pio. He's not, he's very humble, hardworking, even though he's, he could be already starting to get big-headed because all the media love that he gets and the big contract that he's already been given by Inter and the links that he has to, like, oh, Napoli wanted to sign him for 40-50 million. Like, head down, feet firmly on the ground. We'll keep working hard, man. Keep working hard. Again, I just want to show this picture because it's just so visually impressive, right? What Marcus Thuram does. This is the first goal. It was actually, so we started off the game very well, like first minute, 1 minute 50 or first 2 minutes, let's say. Inter started off well, high press. I remember like Di Marco whipping the ball in and Thuram almost getting he actually got his toe on it, but the keeper managed to get it with both hands. And then it took us until the 32nd minute to actually have a decent attempt, which was all created from Di Marco. Actually, I want to give a shout out quickly, not like not man of the match deserving, but Di Marco. So Hakan looked the sharpest that I've seen him look for a good few months. Hakan. Di Marco, this is the sharpest I've seen him look since maybe December or January last year. And I don't think it was a great performance from Di Marco, but he was like winning a lot of balls, winning a lot of duels, and like running, but like not just like jogging up and down. He was doing some like really intense sprints where he won the ball back a few times, which really impressed me. So shout out to Di Marco. So yeah, that's where the ball, the attempt came on the first 32nd minute. Di Marco wins the ball back. Pio finally, at the beginning, Pio and Thuram kind of struggled to link up properly. Like they did an analysis on Amazon Prime on the Italian stream that I was watching. They talked about how Pio and Thuram were kind of struggling to link up in the first half or first 30 minutes. They kind of didn't seem to have great communication or great link up. Yeah, of course, it's the first time they played together, starting together. So it wasn't going to be smooth sailing away at AJAX. Sometimes Thuram was trying to lay it off to him, but Pio wasn't there. Sometimes Pio was trying to head it on to Thuram, and he wasn't there. But then slowly, it seemed like things got better and better between the two. And yeah, this is where that chance came from. So close from Thuram. He almost scored from that narrow angle. Similar finish to the one that he scored against Torino. And then few minutes after that, Inter kept the pressure on, and then we won a penalty. But then the penalty was overturned. I mean, you can see there it was a very clear penalty from the young centre-back Baz, who he was impressive. It wasn't too moved. I was looking, because obviously we are looking for centre-backs of the future as well at Inter. So I was keeping an eye on this guy, Yuri Baz, 22-year-old. Looked good on the ball, as of course I would expect for an Ajax centre-back, but I wasn't particularly moved. But anyway, in this move, initially clear penalty, but then the referee, Michael Oliver, goes back or VAR tells him to go back and have a look because Thuram was pulling his shirt initially before he pulled his shirt. I can see why it was overturned, but like I feel like it was very soft. I mean, pushing and pulling, tugging of the shirt always goes on between the centre-back and the striker. I feel like if you overturn this for the pulling of the shirt at the beginning of the move, I feel like a lot of things would be overturned. So I did disagree with this one. I feel like I've never really seen a penalty overturned for tugging of the shirt before the move starts. So, yeah, it is what it is. But at least entering let this like get them down too much. I mean, we almost did concede after this, which I guess kind of shows that Inter sometimes do suffer too much. Some of the episodes, as they would say in Italian, the episodi, they do suffer the episodes or the decisions in the game sometimes. Yeah, I agree, Bobby Marley. Jostling for position should be called a foul because they were both doing it to each other. It wasn't just Thuram doing it to Bars. Bars was also doing it to Thuram, and then Thuram managed to get in front of him, and then he really bloody clotheslined him or like just hooked him from behind. And that should have just been a penalty, really. And with Hakan on the pitch, I would have been very confident that we would have gone 1-0 up. Yeah, Di Marco actually managed last more than 60 minutes, and it was a very intense 60 minutes from Di Marco, as I was saying. If Inter carry that same attitude, Odlo says, smart defensively, ruthless in attack, and no complacency, they can build a nice run. 100%. This is what we're lacking, especially on the defensive side of things, Odlo. I feel like in attack, I mean, we saw against Juve, we scored 3 goals from hardly any XG. Torino, we scored 5 goals. It's the Udinese game is the one where we lacked, but at the moment, the start of the season, we have been looking a little bit better in front of goal, a little bit more ruthless or a little bit more clinical. Is defensively and the way that we defend at the moment are still, leaves a little bit to be desired. But today was a little bit better. Luckily, it was only Wout Weghorst today, and not too much else. But there was this moment, because he was basically a silly moment from Inter. Mkhitaryan actually, for someone of his experience, giving the ball to AJAX. I think did it come from one of our set pieces? I think it started, or from a corner, because we were all up, and then we got caught out from that. And their young winger Guts, the Belgian winger, who did cause us some issues, but in the end we managed to keep him away. Had a 1v1 against Jan Sommer, and Jan Sommer was fantastic. He stayed upright, or he stayed low down to the ground, didn't make a commitment to any side of the goal right until the last second, waited, and then made a massive save with his left leg, sticking it out to stop the striker or the winger scoring at the near post. It's fantastic bounce back from Jan Sommer. My friend in Bergamo sent me a pic of Gagliardini today. Gags' dad takes my friend's son for football. He had the sling on, lol. Yeah, 20 minutes of Serie A football was too much for him. It was mostly a boring game, honestly, but it was a must win. I thought it was decent watch. Maybe because I was very interested to watch Pio. But I thought it was a decent watch. Yeah, not the most exciting game. But yeah, when we have players like Pio on, I always find it quite interesting to watch. They all look like they wanted it more tonight, something we've not seen in a while, hoping this is finally us coming out of a slump. But again, Massimo, is it these guys once again? What I said in my match preview was, we'll see, do these guys won the Champions League more once again? So I want to see against Sassuolo. What we saw tonight, it was good, but I want to see this against Sassuolo, because the focus for me this season really just is Serie A. Of course, I want us to do well in Champions League, and especially getting to top 8, just because you want to avoid getting into the top 32 to play those extra games, the extra playoff game. But outside of that, I'm not too fussed about Champions League. I want to see this type of mentality, this approach in Serie A. And last season, we know where their mind was, and we saw it early on, the Man City game, and when they played against Arsenal, all the games where we didn't concede a goal until Leverkusen, when they scored, 89th minute, 90th minute, they scored against us, Leverkusen away. That was the only goal we conceded in the group stage. That was a crazy record we had last season. And when you contrasted it to the Serie A record, where we were conceding goals left, right, and center, it just wasn't making any sense. So let's see, once again, already first game of a Champions League clean sheet in Serie A. How many goals we've already conceded? 6. 3 games, 6 goals, averaging 2 goals conceded a game. So let's see whether it's again these guys are just maybe they're just built for Champions League. These guys, I don't know. The style of football, the way of playing, just suits European football at the moment. Yeah, 100%. Defense was solid. Zoma redeemed himself. Benjamin. Yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing. Very inconsistent from VAR. Very, very inconsistent. Moving on to other things. Yeah, so Hakan, great corner for Marcus Thuram, the first one. We've already seen this, but again, just a different angle to show you how he dominates this one. And I'm loving this. I'm loving this new version of Marcus Thuram turning into himself into this target man or header specialist. It's what we needed, man. One more guy that we have now, one more weapon. Because we were set piece freaks, set piece merchants anyway last season. Now we add Marcus Thuram onto that. Fantastic. And here's the second one. This is the second one. And again, here you can see the Vrij jumps. And I think, who is that? Is that Weghorst jumping there? That would be even more impressive if he outjumped Weghorst. But I think it's Itakura, actually. Yeah, I think it's the Japanese centre-back. But yeah, here again, they can't get anywhere near him. Gets another free header. And again, it's not just about the jump. It's about the direction on the header. Both of the headers very well directed into the ground, like you're taught at, when you're football school or football academies, when they're teaching you about football. Textbook heading from Marcus Thuram, and I'm loving it. Really, really loving this development of Marcus Thuram. And then we had more chances. Thuram maybe could have had a hat trick. Who knows? Here he had the Barella crosses it into him. Maybe Itakura, I guess, would have blocked the shot, but I guess he could have done his Barcelona finish here, where he could have back-heeled it behind Itakura. I mean, it's easy to say for me, sitting here in my seat, telling Thuram, so yeah, just back-heel it, bro. But you can see it there in the still. It very much is on the cards, and we know that's very much a finish that he can do, Thuram. But he just leaves it. He thought someone was behind him. But again, he's still got these moments. That this is what I mean with Thuram. It's like he's how many goals has he got already at the start of the season? 4 or 5 goals already. But you still feel, and we still felt last season, at the beginning of last season, he was scoring bunches. He would score. He scored like a hat trick one game, and then he scored 2. Then he wouldn't score. Then he scored 2 again. Then he wouldn't score for like 2 games. There's always this feeling with Thuram that there's like this ceiling that he can like really just push through. If you could just push through this, then of course we would lose him because all the Prem Tar teams would come for him. But there is this clear like potential still with Thuram at the age of, where is he? Is he 28 now? Yeah, he's 28. So this is literally the time when a striker starts to hit their peak, or physically a footballer hits their peak, but strikers, and we know they can start hitting their peak in the late 20s and early 30s as well, because their footballing IQ and movement and positioning, everything goes to the next level. So he can really still become that 20 plus goal a season striker if he really wants it. And that's the thing. Does he really want it? Sometimes it just feels like he's happy with, the 14, 15 goals he scores. And then he's kind of like, yeah, this is pretty good for me. But yeah, in general, Marcus Thuram, lots of shots today. Look at that. Some of them blocked, but lots of shots. Some of these obviously from the corners as well. He had a few other. He actually had one corner at the end as well where he almost scored. Could have had a hat trick of headers just off corners. But yeah, 7 shots today. 3 of them on target. 2 of them blocked. Says he lost 2 out of 9, or he lost. He only won 2 out of the 9 duels, but won 6 out of 8 of his aerial duels. So overall, he did well. Yeah, no, good performance from Thuram overall. Even without the goals, I was quite happy with his performance today. And yeah, his link up with Pio started to get better in the second half. Yeah, the right better suits to Chivu's football than Acerbi. Maybe. Yeah, this Acerbi. Does he deserve a starting spot ahead of Acerbi? I mean, we always discuss this. I feel like a few discussions are always a bit deja vu with this Inter team, because it is the same Inter team, so we're having the same discussions over and over. We do discuss this, I mean, at least once or twice a season, whether De Vrij needs to take over full time for Acerbi. I feel like this season maybe it should be just age wise. Surely it's got to be Acerbi's time is over. But this is if we look at it just cold blooded analytically, this De Vrij performance today was more impressive than any Acerbi performance until now, because he actually was challenged today. Weghorst in the air is an absolute beast. He's 6'6", 6'7", strong, physical, and De Vrij managed to obviously he's not going to win every single header against a guy that's so big, but I think he managed the battle quite well. It was always managed to, like, when they were crossing in, always somehow De Vrij managed to stick his toe in, stick his foot in, or get his head on the way. But yeah, we know he's always very, very reliable. But we've seen it. Inzaghi, clearly, when they both were fit and it was an important match, who was the starter? Acerbi. At the moment, it looks like also Chivu's going that way, but let's see as the season goes on if De Vrij plays like this. Could be a shout. Yeah, of course, everyone can have bad days, Luca. And of course, I can be reactive as well. Like, people always expect me to be like, after the Juve game, it's like, this the team I hate the most, man. And the way that we lost that game, I completely had a head loss. Like, how can I not be angry at Zoma? Because that loss was on Zoma. So yeah. Oh, hey, Mo's in the house, bro. Yeah, I'm literally gonna call it off in a minute, bro. So I haven't got time, but I'll definitely this week before or after the Sassuolo game, Mo. Let's link up 100%, Mo. I want to get you on to get your thoughts. But today I'm literally gonna head off in a couple of minutes. But shout out to Footy Judge Mo. Make sure you check him out for mainly Premier League content, but also European football content for sure. But he's an Interista at heart. Yeah, we know that. People seem a bit clumsy. I mean, he's massive, bro. Of course, he's clumsy. He's not going to be easy on the eye. The guy is 6'2", 6'3", and he's built himself into a Greek god of muscle with that size as well. He's not going to be easy on the eye. He is that type of old school Luca Toni type of striker, Italian old school striker. But even though he might seem clumsy, his link up at some points is very, very technical. Like some of the switches of play that he did, he does that often. The chance that he created for Dumfries at the end, near the end, that was really lovely control. Some of his touches. And yeah, today I didn't even get to manage to have a shot. Only one. Oh yeah, the one that got blocked on the turn, which I'm surprised. Usually he always manages to get some form of shot on goal or some form of like little nick on the way. But today he didn't. But it was his Champions League debut. And again, a 20-year-old like this, we don't see it at Inter. We see it in other teams, maybe around Europe for sure. We see it, but at Inter, a young player coming into the team like this, the best compliment I give him, I give it to him all the time. He doesn't seem like a young player. He just jumps in, and it doesn't look like he's a youth player. He looks like an experienced guy. Look at that, won 4 out of 8 duels, 2 out of 3 aerial duels, and he was just involved with everything. And as Ian said, covered the most kilometers, which is crazy for a striker, but also a striker of his size as well. But yeah, man of the match, obviously, it's going to be Thuram. But as I said, to me, second, I would give it to De Vrij. Third, to Hakan. But also shouts out to the return to form of Di Marco today. I liked how he looked, even though he still can improve his final ball and decision making. You can see almost half passing completion. But physically, he looks a bit better, looks sharper. Barella was decent. Again, he still looks... I feel like he needs some time off, or maybe a game off. Barella, it still seems like he's missing some juice in his legs. Dumfries, up and down as usual. Had some usual Dumfries moments where it was like, the crowd was getting onto him because obviously he's a former PSV player. Of course, they hate PSV. So they were really going at Dumfries. But it was a good battle between him and Weindal on the other side. It was fun. Yeah, it was fun little battle on that side. But yeah, apart from that, not too much to discuss. I would have liked to see Frattesi on a little bit earlier. I would have liked to see Sucic on. I would have liked to see Sucic start really. And I'm a little bit concerned with Thuram. Like Chivu, he really against Juve as well. He was like he had cramps. He had to be forced to stay on right until the end. Even today, he put his socks down, and I like that. 75th, 80th minute. I feel like Chivu should manage Thuram's energies a little bit better. Bring on Boni a little bit earlier, or try to change the formation a little bit. And of course, I can see the comments are talking about Juve and Luis Enrique. But yeah, guys, if they're not convincing Chivu in training, and there's not much I can say at the moment. They obviously need more work. I'm surprised to not see much of Bisek recently. He wasn't used in the Juve game. He wasn't used today. But yeah, this is the difference between Chivu and Inzaghi. We know with Inzaghi at some point they probably would have subbed off Bastoni. He probably would have subbed off Bastoni at the 65th or 70th minute. Definitely would have subbed off Mkhitaryan as soon as after he got his yellow card. The two wing backs probably would have been subbed off by Inzaghi, regardless of the results. Like Inzaghi always had the premeditated substitutes, where it feels like Chivu plays them more by the ear or more instinctively. So, yeah, the only Carlos Augusto came on and he had a bit of a stinker moment, but usually he's very reliable. He just came on, tried to dribble past the player for some reason, but apart from that, he actually didn't do anything. Frattesi was decent when he came on. At least, completed 9 out of 10 passes, which is all I can ask of Frattesi. But yeah, good win, good 3 points to get the Champions League campaign underway, guys. Make sure you leave a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. And yeah, you guys know what the goal is, to end up in the top 8 here. Liverpool won their game today. Bayern Munich beat Chelsea. PSG beat Atalanta. So again, we are representing Italy as usual. Juve drew against Borussia yesterday. Atalanta lost. Let's see what Napoli do against Man City tomorrow. But at the moment, we are once again the flag bearers of Italy. And yeah, see you guys for the pre-game and post-game of the Sassuolo game in Serie A. Hope you guys enjoyed this post-match reaction. Ciao ragazzi, always, Forza Inter and Forza Ticus Thuram. I'm enjoying this header specialist Thuram.